With a remarkable scope of experience, from being a staffer to a national senator, from serving in the state assembly for the state of California, to serving District 3 for the last 10 years, I am delighted to be joined today by Bob Blumenfield. So nice to have you here.
Thank you so much, and glad to be here.
All right, being a council member, it's been a unique experience, I imagine. How much has changed from when you began 10 years ago to now?
Oh, a lot has changed. I mean, the issues themselves have changed. When I was first elected in 2013, homelessness was, obviously there was homelessness in Los Angeles, but it was not the issue that it is today. We did not have 47,000 people on our streets. And it wasn't what constituents were talking about. Now it still is the number one issue that people are talking about. So that in and of itself is a radical change. But a lot has stayed the same as well in terms of the basic needs of the city. People care about getting their streets paved, and they care about being in a safe local community with a high quality of life.
Coming back home a little bit, one of the things that you've had to deal with recently is kind of a tough one, is the Skid Row Housing Trust complication. So exactly what happened with the Skid Row Housing Trust, and where is the caretaking of those properties now?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 2,000 low-income folks who were basically displaced, or could have been displaced by the Skid Row Housing Trust Fund debacle, which is not something of the city's doing. There was a Skid Row Housing Trust was responsible for these low-income units and buildings, and basically they failed in their responsibility. And part of it was that the buildings themselves cost more than the rent that they're able to get from the folks through all the different voucher programs that were there. So they were in a negative cash flow situation, and they failed to manage that. And we ended up in a situation where we had these buildings that were wildly out of compliance, that were in terrible shape, where people are living in squalor conditions, that was being run by an entity that couldn't keep up with it, that basically went into receivership. And so the courts appointed a receiver to oversee that and try to get them stable and ultimately figure that out. But at the end of the day, the city got involved because these are our constituents. These are our low-income folks. If we don't do something, they're going to be out on the street.
Make it worse.
So we worked with the receiver and basically created a dynamic where we give them a low-interest loan so that they can fix up those buildings quickly. They can maintain the security in those buildings, and they can get those units that aren't being rented so that there can become a positive cash flow, which ultimately then would allow those buildings to continue on. Because otherwise, if absent our intervention, those buildings would basically be deemed non-habitable. The folks would be evicted, the buildings would fall out of use, and we'd have more homeless people on the street.
Let's talk about what's been happening with, you and some funner things, more fun things. I think I'm grammatically incorrect there. Have the Rams arrived?
The Rams are, we've been working with them. They are going to build a practice facility in Woodland Hills at the old Anthem site. It's very exciting what's going on. They've sort of gone through their administrative review. Their entitlements are now intact for what they need to do. And basically they're putting in 2 practice fields and a number of associated buildings to help train the Rams. Now, it's not a public-facing facility, so no one's going to be going to a Rams game there or even being able to watch the practices. It's kind of a low intensity use of the property. So from a community perspective, the impact is going to be very minimal. It's exciting. It's bringing economic development to Los Angeles. It's a status thing for LA, and it's all happening in the West Valley.
Given the fact that you've been in office for 10 years, what are you really happy and proud, and what do you want to be doing in the remaining 2 years of your term? Well,
they're related. I mean, there's issues, there's sort of the broad-based issues, citywide issues, homelessness. I'm very proud of what we've done. There were no interventions in my district, and we were able to create multiple interventions, 2 cabin communities, a bridge home, multiple affordable housing sites, hotel conversions, lots happening in the district to really deal with the homeless crisis. A lot of big, broad issues that I've been involved with, climate change certainly on the global level, getting us off of fossil fuels, but and moving toward renewables and other creative ways to deal with that issue, whether it's mobility issues or greening issues. One of my slogans is, make the valley cool again, because people say you can't change the weather, but we can change the temperature in the valley, and we are, and we've done some really cool things around that. The biggest way to do that is trees, transpiration, and the way trees cool things down. But there's also other interesting technologies, cool roofs, cool streets. We pioneered that in my district. The first street in the nation, public street in the nation, to use a cool street coating is in my district over on Jordan. Cool street is basically you coat a street with kind of a sunscreen material, and it lightens it and it makes it cooler during the hot days. And the West Valley is the hottest place in the city. And I've gone out there with my heat gun, and it can be 30-degree difference when you shoot the gun onto a street that's treated versus a standard blacktop. I was talking broadly about some of the citywide issues, but then on a district level, I'm very pleased by what we've been doing in terms of economic development, and excited by these next couple of years where you think about some of the major projects that I've been shepherding with my team and with the community over these years that are coming to fruition. My Reseda Rising initiative. Mm-hmm. It's more than $100 million worth of public investment into Reseda to revitalize that community. The biggest project of those projects is the Reseda Ice Rink, mm-hmm. which we're doing a partnership with the LA Kings. Construction has already started. That's going to be up and running within 12 months. That we're going to be skating on that rink, and kids from all over and from especially from the local area are going to be playing hockey, figure skating, doing all these things on the only public rink in the city.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then just down the road is the Reseda Theater.
Mm-hmm.
That was an iconic theater for years, but had been dilapidated for decades. And again, it was like, how do we figure out something productive to do with that? The community always wanted to keep the theater, or keep entertainment there, wanted to see the marquee, the iconic marquee remain, which is part of Reseda's history. Long story, we have partnered, created investments. We built a senior housing facility on the back lot, and starting construction next year will be the new Reseda Theater.
Wow.
Which will be a theater, about 2 theaters, plus a food hall, a sort of modern food hall that will be on the ground level that will serve the community.
Wow.
And the marquee is preserved, the iconic marquee, and so that's another exciting sort of big ticket project.
If people wanted to learn about all these wonderful things and some of the challenging things and some of the interesting things that they should know, what's the best way for people to keep up on what is happening with your district?
Great. Go to my website, blumenfield.lacity.org. There you can also sign up for my newsletter, and you can go. We have a lot of great information on the pages, not just about the Reseda Rising initiative, but about the Canoga Park Arts Hub, about all the different economic development projects, as well as a lot of legislation I've been working on, and so you can spend hours and hours just combing through the pages and seeing what's happening in the West Valley and the kinds of things that my team and I have been working on and the community has been working on.
Well, this has been fascinating. Promise you'll come back before the end of your term.
I would love to. Anytime you invite me, I'm happy to be here.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.